Well, there's no shortage of people who are voicing their opinions about whatever show they're happy watching. In this case, Dexter. So here's another one. I've read all the books and seen whatever's available about it. I might not have any particular structure to my feedback, but let's just say you start out with looking back at the old show, and you kind of think, how easy would it be when Dexter and was putting Rita and Harrison into a taxi cab for the honeymoon? Couldn't he have just said, "Geez, there's this one serial killer Trinity that knows my name, and he might be looking for the house. So until you know that everything is squared away with him, maybe we shouldn't come back." That kind of thing. Don't. So no matter what, no matter even if you forget something, don't come back to the house. Um, if it was a real emergency, maybe go to the police department. That kind of thing. But you might think about those kinds of things. You might think, yeah, Angel, years later did happen to mention he saw Dexter putting Deb into, I don't know, taking her out of the hospital and putting her into his boat and that kind of thing. That might have been on camera. I don't know if it's worth Dexter's while to even bother saying, "Hey, remember when Camilla was in the hospital and I wanted her to come for the visit? Um, Debbie didn't want to, and she said, let's just say, um, she she made Dexter promise that if she was ever on life support system, she'd be he'd pull the plug, and so he did. That's one of those few little things when you look back at the show where you kind of think, oh, I can see that sort of there was a precedent and that did sort of make sense. But now you have Angel throwing around names that make no sense. Like essentially blaming him for the death of Deb when that was the brain surgeon, or blaming him for Rita when that was obviously Trinity. But I'm sure that he'd be full of his own excuses as to what he could have done if he could just go back in time and intervene in those situations. Looking at somebody like James Stokes, well, that was Lila, and certainly Angel knows Lila. She did frame him for a certain crime, and also she tried to burn her own apartment down with Cody and Nastor in it, and with Dexter, but he got the kids out and he was able to survive that one. But so she was the person who did blow up Dokes for good or ill, and that's the situation. As for LaGuardia, I mean, Captain LaGuardia did apply pressure to the penal system and try to get them to release Hector. What's his face? Um, anyway, back after he had chainsawed, years ago, had chainsawed Dexter's biological mother. So that was the temptation. He should have known that there was that temptation that was going to happen because, she had gotten Tom to come and go look for his for proof of his boat and that kind of thing, and they actually did succeed in finding something that was boosting the idea that, hey, maybe Dokes did have a boat on this at the same dock that Dexter did, and that Dexter just moved to get away from him. So that was something that just went out the window, and both Deb and Dexter knew that happened. So, why in God's green earth would he just take the bait? He should have just spoken to the penal system or the parole board and spoke up about it because he was there. He could have said, "Hey, that was he should not be let out." And then afterward, he could have asked them who applied pressure to you to release this guy of all people on the general public, somebody who's capable of chainsawing somebody. And maybe it would have been interesting. Maybe they would have told him that it was LaGuardia. Who knows? But anyway, it was this particular guy, Hector, and LaGuardia, officially mutually shot each other, and that was the end. Um, but when she had before that, maybe what was it, a day before or something like that, when she actually went to Dexter's apartment and took him into custody and then brought him to the interrogation room and went through all the rigmarole, blaming him for that murder of Hector, the guy was still alive. He was still walking around. So that was another thing. And you would think, Angel knows this anyway. And I mean, there's some little things here and there you could sort of say, and Dexter New Blood. He, I don't really know. I've seen it a few times, but I can't really tell you how he got Matt Caldwell from the White Buck, that whole area, to his home and his shed. I don't know how he transported them or whatever, because there's still be a lot of running around in that. I mean, he could have just as easily called his girlfriend, let her know. Maybe he would have marked it by marked the area by the street, by the highway, and she could have just had the Seneca Nation Hospital ambulance come by and pick him up, uh, and then there would be nothing. Maybe Dexter or Jim Lindsay would still have his continued abstinence from murder that he had done for 10 years or something. And then jumping ahead, you can ask yourself, um, when you're looking at the prequel series, you can ask yourself, why was there no representation of Charlotte Rampling's character? And then you find out, well, a fan apparently asked Clive Phillips, and he just said it just didn't occur to him. Which is a kind of a polite way of saying that wasn't his idea, even though he's credited as a creative consultant on the remaining 4 seasons. The first 4 was really his baby, So, and it's also not in the books. So Charlotte Rampling's character just kind of maybe went by the wayside. I don't know if it should be in the second season of Original Sin, but getting back into the main story, I mean, it's interesting that Detective Claudette there in New York presents Harrison with a newspaper from Iron Lake, and it's about his heroism in high school and all that kind of thing that happened. Supposed heroism. Now the real question is just a really simple one, though, that we're meant to assume that the article is about Harrison Morgan, not Harrison Lindsay. So what was in that article? I mean, how did you find it if it was Harrison Morgan? That's the other thing. I don't know. And I mean, with one good thing though about the stuff with Claudette and her detective work is that when she gives her, first of all, she gives her the audio about the New York Ripper. To me, I've listened to it a few times, and it does sound like Peter Dinklage, so he probably was doing it. Secondly, I mean, how would he know if he has the little hook on display of the actual cane? Um, how would he know that? How would that that's the thing? You know, if Claudette and the police all believe it's something else, you know, and the the gut level that everybody is gashed at, all of his victims are gashed at gut level. That seems to be something that Leon Prater um, could have reached easily. And so now it's going to be a matter of how they. I think, to me anyway, I'm on the side that, yeah, Leon Prater is probably the New York Ripper. I mean, right away. I mean, there's still, even no matter what good things he does, donating to the police and that kind of thing. I mean, he's still, there is something still a little bit fishy, and regardless of what happened in his own life. I mean, if he's able to actually find out who the local serial killers are, why doesn't he just hand them over to the police? I don't know. I mean, and what case would they have against him if they were just thrown in jail? I mean, I don't know. Um, Instead of having, a drink with them or whatever. That's my 2 cents anyway on this. I guess I'm looking forward to seeing the next episode. And thanks.